What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope you're all doing well. Let's get started. NHL playoffs. Got a shorter show today. We're going to start with the NHL playoffs. Maple Leafs beat the Senators 4-2. They win Game 6. They advance to the Eastern Conference semifinals. Only the second time since probably the last 15, 20 years or so. Toronto picks up the win over Ottawa. They went up 2-0. Ottawa crawls back a little bit in the third period, but Toronto holds them off. They move on, and they advance to the Eastern Conference semifinals. Then on the Western Conference side of the bracket, Vegas Golden Knights beat the Minnesota Wild 3-2 in Game 6. They win the series in 6 games. They advance to a second round of the NHL playoffs. They win a back-and-forth series in 6 games there. The Avalanche beat the Stars 7-4 in a high-scoring affair. They tie that series up at 3 games apiece. Game 7 is upon us. Avalanche force a Game 7. What a series that has been. Lived up to pretty much all the hype that we thought it was going to. And the Oilers beat the Kings 6-4, and they win the series in 6 games as they'll be moving on. 4th straight year those two teams have matched up. Oilers won, I think, the last 3. Kings were a better team this year, but still have not been able to finish off the Oilers in the playoffs. Edmonton is really good. Remember, the team was in the Cup final last year, went down 3-0 in the Cup final, started all back to make it a Game 7. Obviously, you have Connor McDavid, who had a down year for his standards, still a great player. Leon Draisaitl might be the MVP. This is still a really good hockey team that is still primed for a deep playoff run. So Oilers move on. They go to the second round. Only game that we have on today for the NHL playoffs is the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues in Game 6. Winnipeg Jets lead 3-2. They try and close out the series. The President's Trophy winners, and the Blues try and force a Game 7. The New York Rangers have hired Mike Sullivan to be their next head hockey coach. I think overall this is a very good hire for the New York Rangers. Mike Sullivan is a really good coach. He was in Pittsburgh the last 10 years, won 2 Stanley Cups, was in the playoffs pretty much every year besides the last 3, when the team was just really old and just not a very good team. I think he's a very good coach. He knows the front office to an extent. I'm trying to think, because he was an assistant coach with the Rangers at one point. I wonder if Chris Drury, their GM, was a player when he was an assistant coach. I'm not sure. But obviously, he knows the ownership there. He was assistant coach before he took the Pittsburgh job with New York Rangers. I think he's a very good coach. I'm kind of surprised Pittsburgh let him go, to be honest. Don't trust this team as long as Chris Drury is in charge. The guy has no idea what he's doing. Knowing him will fire Chris Drury in 2 or 3 years after just ruining the team yet again. But Mike Sullivan is the next head coach of the New York Rangers, and on paper it is a very good hire. NBA playoffs continue on. First round starting to wrap up a little bit. Last night, you had the New York Knicks defeat the Detroit Pistons 116-113 to advance to the second round of the NBA playoffs. They finished with the Pistons in 6 games. Brunson, 40 points and 7 assists. He had a great crossover on Al Thompson, sent them across Detroit almost, and a huge 3 or 4 seconds to go to give the Knicks a 3-point lead, and they hang on. Malik Beasley drops the ball on the last play for the Pistons. Knicks hang on. Crazy game, back and forth. Knicks jumped up to a 15-point lead in the first half. Pistons come all the way back, and at one point tied it up. Then in the third quarter, at one point they went up by 10 more, and the Pistons come all the way back. At one point took a 5-point lead. When the Knicks come back, made a bunch of plays down the stretch. They were up. They were down, I think, 7 with like a little over 2 minutes to go. Then Brunson got an N1. Then they pulled it within 2. Mikal Bridges with a tip in and a putback to tie it. And then Pistons miss. Knicks got a rebound and then called timeout about 20 seconds left. And then Brunson with that great crossover step back 3 to give Knicks the lead. And then Malik Beasley drops the ball to Sam Nick, which last trust Knicks advanced to the second round. That was a really good series. Knicks move on. Pistons had a very good season. 44 wins, I believe, is a lot more than they've had the last 2 years combined. I only had 14 wins last year. So definitely stepped in the right direction. 23-7-8 in the loss for Cade Cunningham. That guy had an incredible year. He's going to be an All-NBA guy this year. He's an amazing player. And they have a building block. Just got to keep building on him. They have a lot of other good role players like Jalen Duren. Malik Beasley had a very good season. Dennis Schroeder. You have a lot of nice veterans there. You just got to continue to build and hopefully get Cade Cunningham legit second guy next to him. And the Clippers beat the Nuggets 111 to 105. They forced a game 7, 28 points, 6 and 8 for James Harden. Harden's had typical up and down playoff series. Some games he's been very good, some games he's been very bad. Jokic 25, 7 and 8 in the loss. But that's been a really good first round series. Probably the best of any series, as good as the Knicks Pistons was. Definitely the best in the Western Conference. And we will have a game 7 between the Clippers and the Nuggets tonight. Rockets Warriors back at it at 9 o'clock on ESPN. Game 6, Golden State Warriors lead 3 games to 2. I don't know if you want to call it. I guess it's kind of sad news. Greg Popovich has stepped down as a head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. He will transition into the full-time team president. It's partly sad, but also I'm very happy for him. Congratulations to an absolute legend of the game. He's been the Spurs coach for, I think, solid 25 years, if not longer than that. Great coach, one of the greatest coaches of all time. Easily a top 3 coach in the NBA history. 5 NBA championships. I wish we get to see him a little bit longer with Victor Wembanyama in this team, but he's had a lot of health issues. Of course, he had a stroke this past fall, so did not coach a lot of the season. He had 2 other health scares since during the offseason, so health, unfortunately, is declining for Greg Popovich, who is obviously getting up there in age, so I see he's doing the right thing for him and his family, and stepping away from coaching, and he will remain team president. The interim coach this past season was Mitch Johnson. He has been promoted to the full-time head coach. Spurs should be really good next year. Victor Wembanyama is obviously an incredible talent. They have De'Aaron Fox out there. Stephon Castle, he drafted this past year, was his rookie of the year. Devin Vassell, Kelvin Johnson are also some solid pieces that they continue to add to this team. Spurs could be a very dangerous team next year and for many years to come. But congratulations to Greg Popovich on an incredible NBA coaching career. And to finish off, let's continue my NBA offseason preview series. We're going to do 2 more teams that did not make the play-in the Eastern Conference. Starting with the Philadelphia 76ers. Where do I even begin? A disastrous year for them. When they went out and spent all the money on Paul George, they thought they should be a really good team. Could go on a deep playoff run. It did not work out. Joel Embiid was injured most of the season. Paul George missed a lot of times. Did not play well when he was on the court. Jeremy McCain, who got to a great start after being a first-round draft pick, ends up getting shut down with an injury early on. And it just was one thing after another, and the season just went off the rails very quickly for the Philadelphia 76ers. To me, you're kind of screwed because Joel Embiid is due over $55 million next year, and then his 3-year extension kicks in after next year when he'll be due $59.5 million, $64.3 and $69 million next 3 years. He's 30 years old, but I think it's time for him to retire. His body is just cooked. He's had so many freaking injuries. You all know how I feel about Joel Embiid. I don't know how anyone could like the guy. Very overrated. I don't see it with him. But he is still there. Paul George, obviously, you gave a huge 4-year deal. This offseason, he's due $51.6 million next year, $54.1 million the year after, and $56.5 million as a player option in 2028. And only guy who's really worth their contract is Tyrese Maxey, who obviously recently signed a 5-year, $205 million deal last offseason with the Philadelphia 76ers. As for guys who are hitting the market, Kelly Oubre has a player option. Andre Drummond has a player option, as does Eric Gordon. Kyle Lowry and Gershon Yabusele are unrestricted free agents. Quentin Grimes is a restricted free agent. They have team options on Lonnie Walker, Jared Butler, and Justin Edwards. Also, 2 other restricted free agents, Jeff Doutlin and Jalen Hood-Schifino. So, no really key players. The most key player they have is Quentin Grimes. I think they should definitely do everything they can to re-sign him. Shouldn't be terribly hard. He is restricted, so they own his rights. So that shouldn't be too hard to do. He's only 24 years old. He had a very good season this year for them. I'm surprised they got him for Caleb Moore in the 2nd round pick at the trade line from the Dallas Mavericks. Oubre might not be a bad piece to re-sign. He's a nice guy to have on the bench. Drummond's a fine backup center, which they could probably use considering Joel Embiid is their number 1 center. However, he is replaceable. And then Kyle Lowry is at the very end. Yabusele was the guy who was in the NBA. Then he went out and had a huge Olympics, which sparked his NBA interest, and of course the Philly ended up scooping him up. As for the team options, not a lot of money on the line there, but none of those guys are premier players. Lonnie Walker's the most premier player there, and he's probably a 3rd-string player in the NBA. So, what they need is, a full strength with Maxey, Paul George, Embiid as your main piece. You also have Jeremy McCain there. You got, Drummond as a backup big. You have Oubre there, Quentin Grimes. If Yabusele comes back, that's not a bad team. That's a good team. But they just need to they gotta have depth on this team. I don't see this working out. Paul George is 34 years old. He's declining. He's always hurt. I don't see how this is going to get better. Joel Embiid's now 30. He can't stay on the floor. He does not produce in the postseason. Let's have Tyrese Maxey and maybe Jared McCain. And I don't know what you can get for Embiid. I mean, the guy is always hurt. He's can be a little lost to deal with. He has not produced in the postseason time and time again. He's got so much money coming his way. Paul George again is a guy who's getting older. He's on the back end of his career, declining. Not the same player anymore. Always hurt. Has not really produced in the postseason either throughout his career. I'm not sure what you would get for him either. And so, I don't really know what you do with Philadelphia. I guess definitely trying to re-sign Quentin Grimes. We're trying to work something out with Kelly Oubre. And then maybe bring back Yabusele. And I don't see how many games you're going to have Embiid or Paul George. I don't see you getting. I don't know if you'll get 40 or 50 games out of Joel Embiid next year or really ever. I don't know if we'll get 60 games out of Paul George next year or really ever. So, maybe take one more shot at this. There's not a whole lot you can do here. But other than that, Philly's kind of stuck with what they have. And the last team we're going to cover is the Brooklyn Nets. So the Brooklyn Nets have a lot of money coming out the books. The unrestricted free agents are going to be D'Lo, D'Anthony Melton, and Trenton Watford. The restricted free agents will be Zaire Williams, Cam Thomas, and Davon Sharp. This is a team that a lot have decided that they could possibly be gearing up to maybe make a big move. They have the draft picks finally. Remember, you got 5 firsts from Mikal Bridges, and they're kind of gotten out of that Durant, Kyrie, Harden era. They gave out so many picks for those guys. And they don't have a ton of money in the Bucks. The highest paid player on the team is Nicholas Claxton, and next year he is due not even $25.5 million. So you do have a lot of money on coming off the books. You do have some to spend. You look at the aprons; they have $127 million until they get to the first apron, so they could go out and have some fun in the summer. As for young pieces that you have currently, Claxton's a very solid big, nice little rim runner, lob threat. I like him, only 25 years old. I like Cam Johnson. That guy's a really good shooter, a very good offensive player. He's a very good player. He's only 28. They should definitely look to bring back Cam Thomas. He gets a little trigger happy sometimes, and he did miss most of the season with injuries, but he's only 23 years old. He's a really talented offensive player. That's a nice guy to have. I think Davon Sharp is a young big man who you have. You haven't seen a whole lot from him, but he's only 23. Probably want to keep him in town. Even Zaire Williams is only 23 years old. He was in Memphis before. Brooklyn hasn't. I don't think he's much of anything, but nothing else could be a rotational piece. Interesting to see what happens with D'Lo. He's a guy who you obviously reunite with at the trade deadline, make the trade with the Lakers. He's nothing else. He's a solid scoring point guard. Obviously doesn't play any defense, but solid scoring point guard. He's still 28 years old. That wouldn't be a bad guy to have back. They have team options on Keon Johnson, Jalen Wilson, Tyrese Martin, and Drew Timme. Drew Timme, obviously he's more of like a mean player guy. He's like a Zaga for God knows how long. But he actually played pretty well down the stretch from that. The games weren't very important, but he played good basketball for them down the stretch. He's only 24 years old. I actually think this guy's actually a pretty good player. I would like to see that guy get a shot as part of someone's rotation. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not even kidding about that. Next to me, they need a legit number one scoring option. Cam Thomas is a very good scorer. At the guard spot. Cameron Johnson's a very good player. You have Claxton down low. There is not a whole lot else here. I mean, you have Noah Clowney, who's only 20 years old. You have Dariq Whitehead, who's only 20. So, yeah, those are 2 young players you could possibly build around. I don't see them being more than, just solid rotational options. We'll see if they, I'm assuming they bring back Cam Thomas rather quickly. We'll see if D'Lo comes back. That's going to be an interesting development. But, they should, I think, I'm not sure if they should, give up everything to trade for, Giannis or something. Or Devin Booker, but, I would like to see them go out and see if they can find a legit #1 option in the offseason. Because you think you're right, you bring back Cam Thomas. You have Cam Johnson there. You Claxton down other than that, not a whole lot. If you can get a legit a legit bucket, a guy that can get you 25 every night, I don't know who that would be in this free agency class, in this trade market, but if they can get a guy like that, I think that would do wonders for this franchise. So that's what I would do if I was the Brooklyn Nets. And teams are gonna go star hunting. I feel like for Brooklyn, it never works. They obviously give up all their draft picks and a lot of players to get Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce years ago when they were at the end of their careers. That blew up in their face because the two of those picks turned to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Then you give up all your draft picks to trade for James Harden, and you signed Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. That blew up in your face. So maybe don't do that anymore. But getting a star player without mortgaging everything should be on the mind of the Brooklyn Nets. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.